As the world works to fight coronavirus, Africa's biggest trading partners have been diverting resources. This has translated to less trade with the continent.
Africa imports a lot of its food, particularly wheat, sugar, oil, edible fats. And because, again, of the disruption in the supply chain, we will not be able to find it. But the second effect is that prices start going up and poverty increases, because for the same amount of sugar, you have to pay a lot more. For the same amount of oil, you have to pay a lot more. And so we're going to start getting inflation.
Economists warn that South Africa and other big economies on the continent will be worst affected.
South Africa, Egypt, you find that their level of debt to GDP is quite high, and which means that their capacity to contain this onslaught is pretty much curtailed. The current fiscal situation of most of these countries, particularly the big countries, is not as big enough for them to even undertake the kinds of fiscal stimulus packages that will help them either help mitigate the impact by providing social protection for those who are affected, but also to fight the disease as it is now.
The coronavirus pandemic has also contributed to falling oil prices. Slowing global travel and oil price war between Russia and Saudi Arabia has seen oil drop by more than $27 per barrel. At least 10 African countries depend on oil exports for their government revenue.
Our estimates show that they are going to get to lose at least $100 billion because of the reduction of the fuel prices from 57.6, where most of them did their budgets, to about $30 per barrel. So a small economy like Libya, 62% of its GDP is dependent on oil exports. Equatorial Guinea, 38.4% of its GDP is dependent on oil. So you can see the significance of this price reduction to the ability of these countries to be able to have sufficient resources to be able to deal with any economic and social impacts that emanate from the coronavirus.
The International Air Transport Authority says Africa's aviation sector alone could lose at least $400 million in 2020 due to reduced business caused by COVID-19. Ethiopian Airlines is the only African carrier continuing to fly directly to China. But the UN projects the country may still lose $260 million because of reduced trade with China and other partners. Like many countries in the world, Ethiopia is taking measures to minimize COVID-19 cases. Although the number of infections here is still minimal, schools have been closed for 15 days and public events suspended for 15 days. The African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is urging African countries to step up surveillance and prevention. It is hoped that increased measures will help protect Africans and avoid a looming economic crisis. Coletta, Wanjohi, SABC News, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.